And we're back with the show. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, as my good friend TJ Johnson would say. In fact, he is here along with my good friend Josh the Greatest. Gerald Glassford, thanks so much for watching. Truly appreciate it. Hopefully, you can support all of our other shows that are out there, including the Lakers Fast Break and Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Well, each and every year, we love to do shows based on some of the greatest things that are out there in pop culture. And one of the things we'd like to touch on each and every year, right after the big game, aka Super Bowl, well, we couldn't even wait for it, the Super Bowl to end. We had to go ahead and talk about the best and worst Super Bowl commercials, ads, and trailers that came out during the Super Bowl. So we're here to talk about that today. We're not even waiting for the overtime to end because we don't know when it'll end. So we're going to go ahead right now and bring it to you, our thoughts on the best and worst Super Bowl trailers and more in the world of pop culture. And here today to go ahead and talk about that are two great guys indeed, including, of course, my good friend from the Chicago area, Mr. TJ Johnson. TJ, great to have you. You guys are on the same time zone, just to let you know. He's just down south. You know, he's down south in the Texas area, but yes, same time zone. It is, of course, Josh the Great Peterson as well. Great to have you guys here. I did want to let you know that I did climb up the Paramount Mountain to let you know. Yes. So it's so weird because the Paramount experience took place over the course of the last 4 days of Super Bowl week. And one of the experiences that's there is they've recreated the Mirage volcano. In fact, it takes place where the Mirage volcano once sat. It's no longer going to be the case because the Hard Rock Hotel is moving in and they're going to put a tower there and a guitar there and all that stuff. So one of the things that they did was they reshaped the Mirage volcano into the Paramount Mountain. You got to go ahead and experience different aspects of the Paramount experience, Star Trek, Ghosts, Fire Country, so many of their great shows that you saw during the course of the broadcast if you're watching on television. And it was just a pretty cool experience to go ahead and just go through. But it's just so weird, guys. You're on the Las Vegas Strip. You're in the actual place for years that was where you weren't able to go. Right there on the Mirage, where the Mirage volcano was, which is no more. It's just so surreal to think that Las Vegas changes so rapidly. And, you know, things that were considered standbys are now no longer. So I'll tell you what, though, it was a great experience. Again, I climbed up the mountain. They had a 4D experience. It was basically a Paramount commercial, disguised as a little bit of mini theme park, but it was good. But Josh, make sure you go ahead and out there, let everybody know about the happyhoarder.com. What you got cooking on right there now before we get into the big Super Bowl ads?
We actually got a bunch of new Trigun Funko Pops coming in for fans of the great 90s anime known as Trigun. Some pretty cool stuff. So it'll be up next week. Check it out, www.happyhoardercollectibles.com.
There you go. Absolutely. Please go ahead and make sure you take care of that. And TJ, great to have you here, both you guys. I am truly blessed whenever we have a group panel for today's show. It is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And to go ahead and make sure everybody knows, again, we are broadcasting around the world on radio stations worldwide, or catch us wherever you can right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. All right, let's get into it. Do you want to go trailers first, guys, or do you want to go ads? Because I've got a whole lot to say about the ads.
I think trailers too easy. Trailers too easy. We should probably go ads first, and then we didn't go into the trailers because the trailers are just easy. They were great. A lot of them were really good.
Okay. All right. So we'll go into the ads, and I'll say this, guys. I've not only been, talking to you guys about the ads. I've been talking to the family at home here, but I've also scanned online with several news outlets who've been grading it live as they've been seeing it. And it's so interesting. This is probably on record to be the most divisive group of ads I have ever seen, because where TJ told me about what his feelings regarding the ads one way, my wife and others have been saying others. And in fact, you take a look at a lot of the ads that have been graded already out there by the different news reports and news outlets. I'll give you an example. Let's take Yahoo and the New York Times. New York Times right on their front page has an ad that they think is the best ad of all of them. Yet when you go to Yahoo, they give that same ad an F on their grading scale. So that tells you the diverse ads out there. So TJ, I am going to start with you, my friend. What are the best ads you could say that you've seen today at the Super Bowl or big game? Sorry, NFL, if I say that too many times.
Well, first, Gerald, thank you so much for allowing me to have another opportunity on the Pop Culture Cosmos. I appreciate you letting me on, man. And Josh, it's been far too long, my friend. We can't do that anymore. I missed you.
Yeah, seriously.
But to me, guys, I have to say this is probably, and obviously this is divisive, so get ready. But I think this is probably one of the weakest Super Bowl ads, one of the weakest collection of Super Bowl ads that I've seen in a recent memory. I don't think I had one that was really like, wow, this is incredible. I had a couple that I was like, okay, that was clever, and a couple that were like, all right, well, okay, like it's not bad. Don't get me wrong, like they weren't bad, but there was nothing that stood out like, oh, they really put a lot of time and effort and thought and work into this one. Nothing came across as overly flamboyant. I think one of my favorite ones was probably the Bet MGM, the one where it was all like everybody can play but Tom Brady. I feel like Tom Brady was all over the Super Bowl for not being in the Super Bowl. He was everywhere. It was the funniest thing. I almost played a drinking game called How Many Times Can You Spot Tom Brady? But I think my favorite, I have two that were my favorite. One was the Kawasaki ad with Stone Cold. As a wrestling aficionado, that's my boy, right? So the one with Stone Cold was fun. It's all about the mullet. Yes. And then the other one that I thought was actually a lot of fun, excuse me, besides the Bet MGM, was the Arnold Schwarzenegger one, the Like a Good Neighbor, State Farm is there.
Agent State Farm.
I had fun with those, and that's just very, very tongue-in-cheek, and obviously Arnold Schwarzenegger being as huge of a iconic figure as he is, I thought that was really kind of cool and kind of funny, and still throw Jake from State Farm in there too. My wife and I were talking about the fact that Jake can never go anywhere. He's forever linked to State Farm. He's probably the longest running spokesperson. I think he actually outlasted Flo, because Flo for Progressive was around for a while too.
Oh, she's still there.
Yeah, but she doesn't do it as frequently. She's kind of every once in 6 months type thing. Jake is still
a Progressive today. That's
what I'm saying. Yeah. It's been a weird Super Bowl, man. No Progressive. The Beyonce commercial. My wife was ecstatic because she couldn't wait for the Beyonce. She knew there was going to be a Beyonce commercial. Gerald, we talked about my wife's affection for Beyonce.
Yeah,
and she was so disappointed because she felt like it was just
no straight up Doritos. It was Dinamita is what they were proposing, that what they were pitching today as far as Doritos are concerned. Not Doritos straight up. I believe it's Dinamita flavored chips that they were doing instead, which is fine. That's a new product line that they want to put out there.
You know what?
It was that, and it was a T-Mobile one.
The T-Mobile one. The Doritos commercial, though, I don't know, for being a chip commercial, it had some pretty good like fight choreography in there. I was like,
I would agree with you with that.
Yeah, I could watch a movie with two old ladies fighting a young kid over a bag of Doritos. That would be cool.
Weren't they from My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
That's what I think. Oh yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. So all in all,
in there too as well.
Yes. Yeah, all in all, I thought the commercials were okay. I really, like I said, I didn't get super up about any of them. The movie trailers was a different story. I know we'll talk about that later, but the commercials, by and large, I would probably give them a C plus, maybe B minus, and I think the B minus might be generous. It's probably more like a C to C plus. I really just didn't. I could have done without the commercials this year.
Go ahead, Josh, my friend. What are your thoughts on the ads of some of the best and maybe worst Super Bowls? Whatever hits you as far as the Super Bowls are concerned. Ads are concerned.
First of all, nothing will ever top that Doritos commercial. I forget what Super Bowl it was. Machine on the old guy's.
Oh, when he hides inside the machine.
Yeah. And the kid leaves and he comes out and the old guy's there. He goes, "Timmy, you got so old." But no, I don't know. I wasn't like too impressed with these. I like the Uber Eats commercial was pretty funny with Jelly Roll, and he like forgot.
Oh yeah.
It's not coming off. That was pretty funny. And then there was one Holmes out of all the like homes.com commercials that were on there, the one where they shot the champagne cap through the
I
glass,
forgot about that one.
that was funny. But other than that, man, I wasn't too impressed. I did enjoy the Budweiser commercial though, like where they're on the horse sled and they're delivering the beer. I don't know, it's kind of
Always got to have the Clydesdales.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, man, I don't know. There's nothing like left me rolling on the floor laughing.
Yeah.
I guess I was kind of expecting that, but yeah, they didn't really deliver.
I can just tell you, for me, the Dunkin' Donuts commercial with Ben Affleck.
Yes, I forgot about that.
Tom Brady
and J-Lo.
Jennifer,
That was
J-Lo,
that was
and
good.
of course,
that was good.
Matt Damon doing the scene stealing
good.
as far as it's concerned in it, where they tried to go ahead and get on her new album. I think that for me was my shining light out of all of them. I will mention though the BMW Christopher Walken commercial has been, again, that one specific ad that has been both praised and roasted all at the same time. Again, as I mentioned, New York Times gave it an A and Yahoo gave it an F. So yeah, that one's all over the place. As people, I guess it all depends on how you think everybody's sounding like Christopher Walken gag, how far you take that.
I think they've done that before though.
Yeah, well, he gets it all the time. That's the butt of the joke.
That's the whole point, right?
He gets it, every day of his life, seemingly, I imagine. But homes.com, yeah, some of the ones outside of the one you were talking about, I really was not too impressed about that. The political and the religious, they're there. They're there. Whether or not people agree that they should be there or not should be there, that's up to you. Again, we don't touch on those subjects here on the show, but they're there. They spent the money and the NFL took it. So they're there. And so there you go on those. But I will say, though, that the ones that really just, it's just so hard to go ahead of, because like you said, the ads this year seemingly were all over the place. They're all big budget, which tells me that these are not cheap to make anymore. You cannot seriously get out with, talk about $2, $3, $4, $5 million for a 30-second to a minute ad these days, guys. So this is big money. I mean, even the T-Mobile commercial with Jason Momoa doing his version of Flashdance, and Flashdance was referenced. God forbid, that movie was made in what, 1980, 81? I have to look it up, but
it's a classic.
40 years later, if you would have told me it would be demonstrated on not one but two Super Bowl ads, I would have told you're crazy. And sure enough, it was, because there was also a gummy bear candy commercial that utilized the scene from Flashdance as well. So
we talked about that Disney commercial though, like that was
one of the famous quotes.
Yeah, right? But that was just them. It's such a lazy commercial, and they're just them shoving it in their face like, well, we know y'all struggle to pay for your Super Bowl ads, but look at this. We're just going to put some words on the screen because we can.
Instead of putting the actual product. But
Disney money.
So let's go ahead and talk about the real bad one that stood out to you, because I have one that I really thought stood out that's really bad and really misappropriated the actual product that they should have been represented. TJ, is there one that comes to mind to you that really stuck out as being not so good?
No, in a sea full of mediocrity, they were all just kind of, a lot of them, I'm just gonna say all, but like 90% of them were pretty much just, I didn't have one that was like, that doesn't even make sense to me, but not that I can think of, no.
John,
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, at least
that might be a
something
bad
should make
thing,
you feel something, right?
Yeah, that might be actually a bad thing, because if you were in an office, because that's what they do. They send these out before they show them to you out the John Q public out there.
Yeah,
they actually go to focus testers, and they sit people in rooms. What do you think about this ad? And whatnot. They sit people. So if you're there and you're unfazed by it, that's probably the worst thing. That's like in wrestling.
Yeah.
Boo,
yeah.
Or yay.
Or cheer, right?
Yes. Don't sit on your hands. That's the worst thing you can do. But Josh, was there any bad ones that really stuck out to you?
The Volkswagen commercial was weird to me.
Those are the ones you see those because they're just like celebrating. This is, we're showing off. They're celebrating our entire history. It's not actually selling you anything now.
No, I realize that, but it's like they're incorporated as like a part of American history, but anyone who's like ever looked at a history textbook has seen Volkswagen like in the same time period that they're showing that they showed like they were making cars for Hitler. So I don't know, it's just like a weird thing to me, you know?
Yeah. What are we celebrating here?
Yeah, right.
It was almost like an ego trip. I mean, I've seen that before for Super Bowl commercials. That's like, we're not actually selling you our product. We're just telling you we've had a lot of products for like years and years and years. And it's just like, what purpose does it serve?
Right. And there's just better ways to inspire people to get a Volkswagen, you know.
Better ways to spend money too on your ads, because those ads aren't cheap. We're talking several $1 million just to put those spots, to buy those spots, not let's just make those spots, buy those spots, as I talked about it as well. So yeah, it's very very concerning when you see something like that. But probably for me, the worst ad I saw this year, or let's say the ad that I would be shaking my head on Monday morning, like I spent money for this, was the Pringles ad with Chris Pratt.
Oh, Chris Pratt.
Oh, that's right.
Because you're more worried about the mustache on your logo character than you are the 20, 25. Okay, I'll give you an example. I said this on the Lakers Fast Break the other day. I went to the store the other day, and my daughter said, just go get me a random Pringles. I said, what flavor? Just pick one, Dad. So I go to the store. Yeah. There's rows and rows and rows of Pringle flavors. Now I got her a cheesesteak flavor and actually tasted like a cheesesteak. But the idea is, when you're in that 30 seconds to a minute, you want to show your consumers what you have to offer as a product. And to me, instead of showing Chris Pratt worrying about his mustache and whatever locale he was in, or whatever fake movie scene he was in, show your 20 to 30 different flavors of Pringles and show the consumer that how many choices you have for flavors. That to me makes more sense and more utilization, a better utilization of the money and time that you're spending on these commercials. That's just me. That's just me. Yeah, what are your thoughts, guys, on that?
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I think that we look back at even last year's, or maybe it was the year prior to, with the Mr. Peanut ad, and nothing about their show, anything about their product. It was literally just where they killed off Mr. Peanut. That was just
killed off. Yeah.
It's more fan service. It's more the fact that I think the way I take that commercial is Chris Pratt has kind of done everything. Chris Pratt is Star-Lord. He's Mario. He's like your franchise person in almost every franchise, it seems like. So I took it as Chris Pratt now has something else he can be. So it didn't really bother me, because again, a lot of these ads are super fluff anyways, completely unnecessary, and a lot of them aren't really necessarily showcasing the product that they're selling. It's really just for giggles, right? For shiggles. So I don't particularly care that they didn't show the flavors. I didn't particularly have a problem with the ad, but I'll also, again, go on record as saying it didn't stand out as, man, this is a really good ad. It was really whatever. And as we both mentioned already, that might be one of the worst responses, as opposed to I loved it or I hated it. So, Josh,
what are your thoughts on that, my friend?
I don't know. I kind of laughed because, like TJ said, Chris Pratt is everything, and I think he's painful, not painfully, but he's very aware of that, and I think that's where the joke is coming from. But I mean, Pringles
was the commercial was supposed to be about him or about Pringles?
That's what I was about to say. Like Pringles, I think they removed the focus from their product and put it more on Chris Pratt, which kind of defeats the purpose of it, I guess.
Yeah, that's what the point. If I'm a company spending millions of dollars to get people to buy more of my product, it just seems like it, like you said, it's defeating the purpose of doing so, especially when you have something that has so many different choices and you want to get that out there, that you have so many different choices for flavors, as Pringles does. It's not just what the red can that you can go in there and you get the stack and there you go, you chew it and then there you go. Absolutely. You munch, crunch, and there you go. But until you go and you find the crumbled ones on the bottom, and then you're like, man, that's terrible, man. But oh well. You know it, because that's the problem. By the time you get to the bottom, it's all crumpled up and crushed and all that, and forget about that. But it is, of course, the Pop Culture Cosmos. Thanks so much for joining me. It is TJ Johnson and Josh Peterson. So was there any other ads for you guys that stuck out this year for the Super Bowl?
Not for me. I mean, I think the one that you mentioned that I don't know how I forgot about because my wife and I were rolling was the Dunkin' Donuts one. To see Ben Affleck in that way, hip hop dancing, whatever it is you want to call it, rapping. I thought it was hilarious. That again. I don't know how I forgot about that because we were rolling on the floor the entire time. So that was definitely the best Super Bowl ad to me of the day, by far. Like not even close. And I feel terrible that I forgot about it. Like that's
Jack Harlow was in it as well.
yeah,
Tom
man.
Brady
It was
as the
great.
DJ. Yeah.
Tom Brady again, J-Lo, Matt Damon. Like it was so many people in that commercial. And again, but even still, well, I guess that one they did advertise a lot of Dunkin' Donuts, so that's fair. That's fair.
And I
It
guess
wasn't
they're
about
naming
Dunkin',
a,
but
I
they
guess
had
they're,
Dunkin' in there.
well, again, I guess they're legitimately naming a drink after them as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
No, that was the best one. That was the best one.
Josh, any thoughts?
No, I mean, I guess I also forgot about the Dunkin' Donuts commercial. I couldn't hear most of it because my kids were like screaming in the living room, but I do want to go back and watch. I did love how like they're Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are always playing on that joke. Where it's like their weird like their bro love affair that they're having. Like I love they did the thing on Jimmy Kimmel, right, where they did the song with Josh Groban and all that. I don't know if you guys remember that, but yeah, I don't know. It's always fun to see them.
Well, what I'm going to do, okay, if you're in and around the Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, please like and follow us there. But I tell you what, if you go ahead to there, I will post the link from the New York Times article. Now, mind you, if you disagree or agree, obviously that's up to you. But what it does have is it has attached the YouTube videos for all those commercials. So you can decide for yourself exactly which ones you like or don't like if you want to go ahead and do that. So I put that in Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. So please let us know your thoughts out there on the best and worst Super Bowl ads for this year in the big game. Please let us know. Pop Culture Cosmos at yahoo.com. Always love talking about it. Yes, absolutely. Actually, Ben Affleck's done a couple of really good ones. Yeah, as far as the Super Bowl ads. So he knows when he does those memes in real life with him looking depressed. At least he knows he's very familiar with.
Yeah, he's aware.
Yeah, he's aware. Yeah,
absolutely.
He's definitely aware. But before we head on out today, because we still got plenty of time left on the show, I want to make sure we get in the movie trailers. And I didn't see too many. That's probably the first big thing that it might be a problem. The industry as a whole is down. It hasn't really fully recovered from the coronavirus and the fact that not everybody has gone back to the theaters. But this year, heading into this weekend, which was one of the worst weekends in years, including the COVID times where movies were shut down or movies were lightly attended, the attendance was super down for a Super Bowl weekend. And not only that, attendance is down 15% below that last year, which has still not fully recovered, been up to the levels before the pandemic. So that alone is going to be a problem. But as we saw, there wasn't that many trailers that came out, but all of them were pretty good. I want to hear your thoughts though, TJ. Obviously the big one is Marvel's restructuring of the entire Marvel landscape for their movies and how they had once 4 movies scheduled for this year and now only one that's coming out on July 26th. It is no longer Deadpool 3. It is Deadpool and Wolverine. So tell me your thoughts. You got a chance, hopefully, to take a look at not only the teaser, but maybe also as well the larger trailer, which I actually posted on Facebook at Pop Culture Cosmos. Your thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine now seeing what they could do to destroy the Marvel Cinematic Universe. As only Deadpool can do.
Yeah. First of all, just to kick off the entire trailer with that reference to pegging, and I'm not, I'm used to pegging, but Disney's not. And a quick shot to the camera, I thought it was okay. I'm like, we are back. This is the Deadpool that I've come to expect. I think there was always going to be an initial concern once Deadpool and the rest of the Marvel characters joined the MCU because of how R-rated Marvel can be, and especially with those particular characters. So it was definitely a concern of mine bringing that version of Deadpool into the MCU. But I'm very, very happy to see that they left him intact. They left him telling his crass and his crude humor intact, and that's going to be kind of fun. I really enjoyed the trailer just because it was something that we were all really hoping to see, and I feel like they delivered. A lot of the things that we had to endure over the course of this MCU downward spiral, if you would. Seeing things like the TVA being brought into the fold and being brought into that movie.
They buffed up the TVA soldiers. I'll just go ahead and say that out loud.
Oh yeah, they're huge. Yeah,
I don't know. They must have put them on steroids, but maybe it's the fact when you go to a TV budget to a movie budget, my friend. But
things changed a little bit.
They were jacked up.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. But I thought that was a whole lot of fun. Obviously, them changing the name to Deadpool and Wolverine was interesting, considering the fact that they didn't even hardly show Wolverine. But that's okay, because we've seen enough stills, we've seen enough images that have been leaked to know what Wolverine looks like in this movie. And I think that, for me, helps lend to the excitement of it. So I'm completely fine with them not showing him. He's there. We know he's there. It's not like this is a surprise. I almost wish they would have kept it a surprise if they could have. But in the day and age of where we are now, that would have been nigh impossible. So they just embraced it and let it happen. By and large, I'm excited for that one. I thought that's going to be a whole lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. Finally, MCU film I'm looking forward to.
Well, let me ask you this movie, and I'm going to get to you, Josh, so you can have plenty of time to talk about this as well. This movie, all funny and kidding aside, this movie has a lot of pressure on it.
Oh yeah.
The Disney Corporation is writing a lot on this film to repair, undo a lot of damage, and I don't want to say save, but for a company that had several disappointments last year at the box office, it has to turn around. I don't know, say the industry, or just at least from the Disney sense, it has to turn around their movie business going forward. TJ, that's a lot of pressure.
It really does, and the nice thing about hold on, sorry, I almost feel like I lost you here.
Yeah, it's KC has just won the Super Bowl, so got you, TJ. Are you there, TJ?
Gotcha. Yep, I'm back now. Sorry, I feel like I lost you for a second.
No worries.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure on Disney for this movie to be successful, for a couple of reasons. Obviously, as we've all been made painfully aware, they've been on a bit of a downward trajectory. People have kind of lost interest and felt like they've gotten too woke. All the above, none of the above. I don't know. Doesn't change the fact that they're just not super interested in a lot of the Marvel content lately. And to be fair, they've tried to throw a lot of content at us that make us care about people other than the original Avengers, who we grew up loving for the last 10 to 15 years, and they're expecting us to try to have that same love with others. And it's not really working out quite that. There's a lot of pressure. But I think that this one in particular is up to the task, considering the fact that you've got absolute fan favorite in Hugh Jackman being back as Wolverine. I mean, let's face it, there's nobody that anybody really wanted to see in the role but Hugh Jackman. And I'm pretty sure this is going to be his swan song, his actual final swan song out of the role. But
there is rumors he would be there for Secret Wars.
Oh, okay. We'll see. That's my first time hearing that, but there you go. So with that being said, I think that it absolutely could. I mean, with the emergence of the multiverse, that anything is really possible at this point. So I do think that they have quite a bit riding on this, but I think that this particular movie, because of the fanfare behind it, because of the popularity of both the main characters, Deadpool and Wolverine, that they absolutely have the potential to deliver on this. So I'm really looking forward to it. I believe it's going to live up to the hype.
Josh, what are your thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine? And obviously, like I said, there's a lot of pressure and a lot riding on this for Disney and Marvel. Were you at least impressed with what you've seen with the first glimpse at Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yeah, actually, I was pretty excited seeing that. So I missed the teaser in the beginning, because I was cooking dinner and all that. But then I went back and watched the trailer and all that. But yeah, no, I mean, I honestly, it was a fun trailer. I liked seeing Pyro is back from X-Men. It was X-Men 2. I think they showed him. He's just a lot older looking now.
Yeah.
Then they showed the scene with Hugh Jackman. See, I would have loved. I know that we know that he's there, but I would have loved to hear some kind of like quip back and forth between them because it felt. By the time the trailer was over, it felt very much like those old, Wolverine origin comics when he would fight. Deadpool just randomly show up at different points in the story, and they would fight each other. But no, I'm excited because I have not actually finished Loki yet. So I'm like, oh great, now there's more that I got to go back and watch. I got to go check out the TV and stuff. But beyond financial responsibility, like this is more of I know I'm falling. There's too much, man. I started watching Echo and I never finished it, and it's just I'm trying. But there's they've kind of been handed like a golden goose egg, right? Like because all this stuff with Jonathan Majors was kind of ruined their plans. So now they get to go through and they can mess with all the multiverse timelines, and this is their opportunity to fix or not fix, but like move the MCU in the trajectory that they want to go after, whatever's going on with Kang the Conqueror. Like if they want to veer it away from him and go towards Galactus or whoever might be coming next, like this is their opportunity to do that. And it kind of all the pieces all fell in place at the right time. And if they blow this opportunity, then we're going to end up right where we are right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Any thoughts on that to add on to that, TJ? Or
no, he's absolutely right. I mean, it as unfortunate as the circumstances are between Jonathan Majors and everything that happened. Whether people loved his character or hated his character, unfortunately, due to the timing of that, this really is a situation where this is a make or break. They absolutely can pivot. I don't think that they will. I still think that they're going to I think they're going to have to just recast Kang the Conqueror and just move forward because they've already got so much invested into that storyline. But they can absolutely start to plant seeds to move past him in these sense if they do want to pivot. They can't just walk away, but they can start to kind of move past it and kind of make him maybe lesser and lesser of a threat and try to find a way to incorporate somebody else. But this is absolutely the time, and this is absolutely the way that they're going to have to win back the trust of the fans. And what I mean by that is, as I said, they've thrown a lot of stuff at us. They've become a very, people will say they become very woke and become very progressive in regards to the content that they want to put out and what they want to show. And, whether you like that or dislike that is up to your personal taste. But by and large, there's been a good amount of people that have been very vocal about their distaste for that. Whether you like it or not, it's where they've gone. And for them to win back those particular fans and those particular critics and what have you, they're gonna have to do something kind of drastic. And this is kind of like Josh said, it's almost like a last minute. It's like Hail Mary. This is Patrick Mahomes in overtime to win the Super Bowl, right? This did you like that? Yeah. This is their last chance, and last chance in the sense of the way we know the MCU today. I'm sure the MCU is going to be around, but it's just not going to be the same that we've come to see for so long. So I'm excited to see it, but this is by far this is they're on their heels, but they're on their heels big time.
I mean, would you say almost like as bad as the DCU was by the time it got to its last one, or even now with the James Gunn stuff? Like, what's going to happen to superhero movies?
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I think this is worse. And I say that because the MCU was so loved. It was so high. And for it to have fallen so far so quickly. I mean, let's be honest, Endgame was only 4 or 5 years ago at this point. It wasn't like it was that long ago that we had the penultimate of Marvel Entertainment. So for them to have such a swift and sudden fall from grace, it's more disappointing to me than the entire DC universe, the entire Zack Snyder, Justice Leagues, and all that combined is not as disappointing as how far Marvel has fallen now.
Because they never reached the higher heights.
Exactly. So they were already kind of just there. It was kind of expected. They were like the little brother, right? But this was like top dog, and to see the top dog fall from grace so far, it's very disappointing. So I would absolutely put them in worse condition than DC if Deadpool and Wolverine does not succeed.
Yeah, we'll find out what that is going to be. But please go ahead and check out our thoughts when the movie comes out in late July 26th. It's funny because all these other movies are circling around like vultures around the beginning of May.
Yeah.
And as
May
far as
10th. May
yes,
10th.
May 10th in some cases, because the fact that there's no Marvel movie there for
Yeah.
the first time in a long time. So a lot of these films are taking advantage. So one of the films that's coming out here in the not too distant future, July 19th, a week before Deadpool and Wolverine, is Twisters. So this is supposed to be the spiritual successor in some form or fashion. Looks just like the same old
Yeah,
type
it
of
does.
truck and all.
Yeah, it does.
Just like the little things that come out of the truck, just like we saw.
Even looks a little bit like Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
thought the
your
same
thoughts,
thing.
Josh? I'll start with you first, my friend. Are you excited for Twisters? And I got to put the S on there.
I am actually. That was Twister and The Day After Tomorrow is like my rainy day movies.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's something because I remember being a kid and watching Twister on a VHS tape, in my buddy's living room and thinking like, wow, that was really cool. And here I am, in my 30s saying like, wow, that's really cool. So I don't know. I'm excited. Maybe that's just nostalgia fueling that view, but I mean, I think it looks cool.
Okay, TJ, your thoughts on Twisters?
Yeah, I feel just like Josh. It's a very nostalgic excitement that I had when I seen the title. And again, everything, the font looks the same from the title. As you said, the gentleman looks very similar to Bill Paxton. It very much screams. Yeah, it very much screams early 90s or early to mid 90s disaster flicks like The Day After Tomorrow or 2000 disaster flicks like The Day After Tomorrow and all those. So I'm I'm looking forward to it, especially, selfishly, Tremaine Jr. is starting to have this real interest in, I don't know how I feel about it, but he's got this real interest in like disasters. So like he likes to YouTube planets falling on buildings on YouTube, and he likes to look up tornadoes, and he likes to look up like the solar system. So he's got this thing where he's exploring a lot of different stuff, and tornadoes is big on his list right now. So obviously making sure that the content is appropriate or at least close enough for a child, I'd look at that. But it's kind of fun to have that same parallel right now. Like I had interest in tornadoes when I was younger too, so it's kind of cool to see it passed on to the next generation.
Yeah,
Fair
I tell
enough.
you though, that movie hits a lot differently after I moved out here to Texas. So it's we're like
I bet it did.
right out in Tornado Alley here. So anytime we hear those sirens, we gotta get in the hallway with a bunch of
Yeah.
pillows. And
There you go. Get down.
Now, an IP that has been made to be a decent IP that's out there, thanks to the work of John Krasinski behind the scenes, is A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
And A Quiet Place,
A
Day
prequel.
One, Part One, the prequel, which shows day one what happened. Because obviously, if we don't show something or don't start off with it taking place on the day one, eventually they're going to get back to day one. As always, they talk about it all the time. They do eventually do a prequel on it, and so it stars Lupita Nyong'o as the main person in peril from all these aliens and just how it started. And I know that, again, it has worked well so far for this series. Your thoughts, TJ, on A Quiet Place Part One, as far as day one?
I was excited when I got to see the trailer, especially because I was disappointed with The Quiet Place 1. Let me start over. I didn't think A Quiet Place needed a sequel. I think there are some movies that are okay to just exist and be these shots like Cloverfield, the original Cloverfield. I didn't think that there ever needed to be a sequel. I didn't think there ever needed to be anything. I know everybody wondered what happened afterwards.
That was absolutely terrible. They got a
that had nothing to do with it, but claim it had something to do with it. They just happen to have the same name, and they tried it. Yeah, something like that. There's some movies that just don't need it. A Quiet Place, I thought, was a perfect, not a perfect film, but a really, really, really good film that didn't necessarily need to have something tied up with the bow as a nice ending. And I didn't really necessarily need to see how it began. But since they did grace us with the second film, which was still pretty good, wasn't as good as the first one, but still pretty good. I miss the dynamic of John Krasinski and Emily Blunt. Obviously, being real life husband and wife has huge benefits to working together as a movie husband and wife, because that chemistry, that cohesiveness is already naturally there. So very, very similar to the way Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone were so good in the spectacular in the Amazing Spider-Man films. Whether you like the movies or not is irrelevant. So now that we get to go back and spend more time with Krasinski and Emily Blunt and their role as husband and wife, and in this world that they've created, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Now that I've gotten a bit more of the story with the second one, I'm kind of curious as to how it all started. So I didn't know it was coming, but now that it's here, or now that it's almost here on the precipice of it being here, I'm definitely more intrigued than I thought I would be. So yeah, I'm all for it. And
Your
John
thoughts?
Krasinski is awesome anyway. So
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yes, absolutely. Your thoughts, my friend, because John Krasinski is making another movie
yeah,
that we need to
Imaginary
talk
Friend.
about. Yes.
That was the best commercial of the Super Bowl, in my opinion.
So, yes. So let me hear your thoughts, my friend, on A Quiet Place, day one.
So I want to speak to John Krasinski's death in the original Quiet Place movie. It felt very unnecessary to me, but I see why he did it, because it allows him to like focus more, I guess, on directing.
Yeah.
Oh no!
I know it felt like it didn't need to happen. I was sitting there thinking like, well, there's maybe like 20 better ways you could have done that and not died, but what do I know? But no, it looks cool. I mean, you talked about Cloverfield and how all they share is a name and just like little bits of the lore and mythology. A Quiet Place does that, but it's all within like a time span that feels close and connected. So like, even though you don't need to see A Quiet Place 2, it still feels organic. It still feels like it belongs there. So I'm just hoping that they do that with the Quiet Place day one, which I imagine they will do, because they, like TJ said, they did an amazing job with the first two films. So I mean, is it something I'm going to go out to the theaters to watch? Probably not, but when it cruises onto Paramount Plus or whatever, I'll give it a watch.
I want to mention again, speaking of John Krasinski, that he has a children's movie called, well, maybe not be such a children's movie. We'll see.
Yeah, I'd say it's Ryan Reynolds. I don't know.
Friend, it's supposed to be somewhat based on, children's property that actually is about imaginary friends coming to life later on in life. Right there for you. Actually, it's the opposite of that horror movie. If I forgot what it's called. They just debuted the trailer for it last week about imaginary friends that you forget about coming back to haunt you and come back to. I'll look that up here while you guys are talking about. But
it's movies like that make me, anytime my kids are like talking to a wall or my dog barks nothing, I want to call a priest. So
right.
Yeah, it terrifies me.
So tell me your thoughts on If, the actual family-friendly movie that's coming out.
I mean, it looks like it'll be fun.
Yeah. Let's talk about the introduction for a second, though. Did anyone get that? It was an Office callback. Like, that was...
Yes. That's what my daughter caught that right away, because Randall Park was impersonating or portraying John Krasinski.
It's no joke.
Yes. And Ryan Reynolds is calling him out on that. And then but it's funny because Steve Carell is the voice of the main imaginary friend in the movie. With Ryan Reynolds is actually a live action Ryan Reynolds in the movie. So that's what kind of got me on that.
Yeah. I mean, Josh, I don't know how you feel. I think it's going to be fun. I know we both enjoyed the trailer.
Now get this, Imaginary is the horror movie that's coming out. So I just want to.
And Imaginary Friends is a family, allegedly family friendly.
Yeah, just like bringing out two volcano movies. In the same year. Let's just keep on doing this, Hollywood. Imaginary and Imaginary Friends. So
the trailer was fun. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about the movie. It wasn't on my radar before. It's maybe a little bit more on my radar because the trailer was so good. But we'll see. I'm kind of up in the air on it. I don't really feel too much one way or too much the other. Anything with Ryan Reynolds is going to be funny, and it's going to be kind of fun. He's Ryan Reynolds in every film, so it's kind of that same quick-witted, sarcastic douche in some cases. Like, that's just kind of who he is. So I'm not surprised. He's going to continue to be that in these films. So I'll give it a watch when it comes on stream. But I think this is one of the reasons why we're having so many issues going back to the movie theaters, that we're seeing a lot of films that are not movie worthy or not worthy of me going to spend the additional money because I've already got the streaming service. So now I'm
And
going to
Steve
go out and
Carell's
spend
already
additional money.
doing, and Steve Carell's already doing some voice work already because Despicable Me 4 is coming out this summer as well.
Yeah, so it kind of just goes to the exact point that we were talking about that you were kind of alluding to earlier with people not really going to the movies anymore. This is why there's not anything huge and bombastic that we have to have a movie experience to enjoy. Unlike the End Games or Infinity Wars, those are spectacles, or even in Star Wars, those are spectacles. There's something there that's visually appeasing, and I need to see that on the big screen. I don't need to see this on a big screen. I don't need to see most rom-coms on a big screen. I'm much more comfortable watching that at home because that experience doesn't really necessitate having this huge surround sound screen and theater and bass, and it's not necessary. And with the dollar being worth what it is now, which is next to nothing, we have to be more conscious about the way we spend it. So,
Josh, I know that you're probably going to be saying something about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which is coming out May the 10th, right around the Marvel movie time, would normally be coming out. So your thoughts, my friend. My daughter was surprised when I told her we're probably into double digits now when it comes to Planet of the Apes films. If you consider all the Charlton Heston era films on that. So I think we're into double digits, if I'm not mistaken. Your thoughts on this reimagining, revisioning? It looks like it's more to the traditional Charlton Heston style of Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, it's got like a medieval, I would say. But okay, I'm having a brain
It
fart.
reminds me of a lot of the original Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, that's what yeah. But so the first reboot, that was a Matthew Vaughn film, wasn't it?
I believe so, yes.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I've actually really enjoyed all of those movies.
Seems like every decade you had the ones in the 2000s, then you had the ones in the 2010s, and now you have the ones in the
Return of the Planet of the Apes, revise of the Planet of the Apes.
Right. But they stuck the landing with this one, and they have kept to it. Like even like the cinematography, the way that there's like a human ape, let's get along storyline that happens through it. I don't know. They've been continually interesting to me. Whereas like the Mark Wahlberg one, they're really trying to reenact like what was done with the original Planet of the Apes films, and it didn't really work. But like this one, they took an old property and made it interesting again. And for that reason, I will actually go to the movie theaters to watch this new one.
Yeah.
I had a feeling you would, because I remember you saying these years about how much an affinity you have for the Planet of the Apes films. TJ, any thoughts on it?
Absolutely. Actually, my wife talked about how much she enjoyed the Planet of the Apes. So knowing that she enjoys it gives me a reason to go to the theater. Like Josh, I've actually enjoyed the last couple Planet of the Apes. I still haven't seen all of them because, as you mentioned, they're probably the double digits at this point. And I'm not going to, let me be very clear. But the last couple ones that I've seen, I've actually enjoyed very, very much. Even the one with James Franco, I enjoyed that one too. So saying that to say, this is one of the movies that would lend itself to being very good at the box office, being very good in a theater, because this is a spectacle. There's something here to really feast upon with the eyes and the auditory senses. So I'm completely for watching this one in the theater, and I know that she wants to go. So this one will be seeing in the theater right next to Deadpool. I can tell you definitively we plan on going to at least 2 or 3 movies this year. So yay.
That's the kind of music they want to hear, being that they're so far down as far as across the board as an industry. So definitely we'll
planning a Planet of the Apes streaming service coming out next month.
Yeah, exactly, because there's so many
they got
films.
enough.
Well, I think everybody's waiting for March when Dune Part 2 comes out. I really think that even the movies for Valentine's Day are not, with Madam Web and all that, are really not getting anybody just like inspired to go back to the movie theater. I think everybody's waiting for Dune Part 2 and then going from there, because I know I am. I'll say that I cannot wait for that film to come out. So we'll see what happens, though. But if you have thoughts on the trailers that are out and the ads that came out for this year's Super Bowl, please let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, we have just under 10 minutes left, and I truly appreciate TJ Johnson and Josh the Great Peterson for joining me today. TJ, I know you wanted to cover a little bit more on our WWE that we covered on last week as far as the ongoing controversy regarding the main event, which could be, since the WrestleMania now takes place over a 2-day period of time, could be main events with a tag team on one day and a singles match on the other, TJ.
I'm interested to see how this plays out. So I know that our last show that it kind of got a bit cut out because I was walking into to my job and all that, so we didn't get a chance to really go in depth. But I'm really enjoying seeing the way that the storyline is going to play out with The Rock coming back into this picture, and everybody initially thinking that there was going to be a beef with Roman Reigns, right? That was kind of the initial thing, and I really think that that was going to initially be what happened. But I also think that they were of enough sound mind to say, okay, we're going to see how the crowd reacts to this one way or the other. If the crowd goes for it, then it's going to be The Rock versus Roman Reigns as a serious. The Rock has a problem with Roman Reigns becoming the tribal chief and all this, being the head of the bloodline, blah 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 blah. And if it goes south, as it did, because they still want to see Cody finish his story, hashtag Cody Crybabies. Then they're going to say, okay, now we're going to turn The Rock heel and make this a bigger deal and continue. Either way, it's absolutely made WrestleMania a much more household name than it already has been. And what I mean by that is the excitement is much more palpable than it has been in quite a few years in regards to it. I think the last time I was this excited for WrestleMania was Rock and Cena. The first one, not the second one. So I think that it's doing exactly what it set out to do. And that's if it's going to end up being our Rock and Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, because there's rumor that Triple H could be suiting up for one last match against The Rock, since that's the one person that he has not wrestled at WrestleMania. He's never wrestled against Triple H. They've never had a WrestleMania match.
He also had a slight, heart attack thingy.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, people have come back from
that's true.
Alleged.
It is the pro wrestling business.
It is the pro wrestling business, absolutely. I mean, Edge came back from a supposedly career-ending back injury. Yeah. Shawn Michaels came back from career-ending injury. Like, it happens all the time. And I don't expect them to put on a 5-star match either. I expect it to be very, very reminiscent, if they do, of Hulk versus Rock, and the excitement and the theatricality of it being the bigger star and a bigger piece of it than the actual wrestling technique. So I think this has the potential to be very, very good.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Sorry, didn't The Rock and Triple H had like a rivalry back in the early days of SmackDown too? Didn't?
Oh yeah. They did, especially for the Intercontinental title. For the Intercontinental title,
they main evented several pay-per-views, Josh. They just never main evented WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they were big feuds, and even when The Rock had returned for a match at WrestleMania, the quick little 6-second match or whatever. There was a bit of a teasing backstage of a Rock versus Triple H. So it'll be interesting to see. I love Triple H's response on SmackDown when he's talking about people and saying, it doesn't matter what you think, or some people need to know their role. It's going to be very interesting to see. I know that Paul
Cody Crybabies.
Yeah, hashtag Cody Crybabies. I think it's going to be interesting because obviously Paul Heyman has said he's going to bring Roman Reigns and The Rock to SmackDown this upcoming week. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Well, two things I think they missed on the WWE is, one is they should have done another halftime heat 25 years after the original one with Mankind and Rock. I think they missed an opportunity for that. Second thing is they should have focused more on the actual real life death threats on his daughter and try to go ahead and say, you know what, this happened to me when people told me literally to die, Rocky, die 30 years ago. And look what it did for me. And I think that he should take that same type of real, because that's what wrestlers do. The best promos that I've ever done have been taken from real life. Yeah. And I think that he should have really gone off on that and be able to just channel that into, the motivation behind what this is, instead of the bloodlines and the family lines. What they're doing now, they're trying to relate as far as that. It's kind of feels forced on that end. But then again, that's just me that's saying it. I would have liked to have them gone down that route. But I digress. I still think it's going to lead into a 2-day main event with a tag team on one day and a singles the other. And I think that's probably the best way they're going to get out of it to make everybody happy, The Rock and the fans this time around.
Absolutely. And I want to hear Josh's thoughts on it too, but real quick, I don't think that there's still plenty of time for him to dive into that. I think he had this initial heel turn and it was abrupt, absolutely, but it still felt like it was believable to me. So with this heel turn, he still has plenty of time to address his daughter and the death threats that she's been receiving. So
does it get you more interested, Josh, in as far as that's concerned with Rock now in putting himself into the main event for WrestleMania?
Yeah, actually, I haven't watched wrestling in a long time. I listen to Pop Culture Cosmo. I hear you guys talk, and who's the other person you talk to about?
Oh, John Orlando for
John
the
Orlando. That's right.
We do once a month. We do the State of Pro Wrestling. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. So I hear you guys talking. And I'm like, oh man, it makes me want to kind of get interested in wrestling again. But it's been cool because I've actually read the articles about The Rock returning, and it's cool to see that he hasn't left his roots and that he could literally show up on WWE at any time.
Yeah. That's good. And again, we'll see what happens though, and we'll keep on reporting. In fact, in a couple of weeks, I'll probably be back on again after Elimination Chamber with John Orlando for the PVD cast for the State of Pro Wrestling. And at any time TJ wants to hit me up on it, let us know. But let us know your thoughts on WrestleMania. PopCultureCosmos@yahoo.com. But before we head on out, guys, we got to talk a little TV before we head on out. I got a chance to watch all the episodes on Amazon Prime's latest big hit, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
I haven't finished it. Oh.
The remake or re-envisioning of the movie, which got together and ultimately has split up in real life, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. This stars Maya Erskine and probably what I've called, and Josh has heard me say this before, one of the most talented entertainers that's out there in Donald Glover. I couldn't believe I read he was 40. That makes me feel old when I read he was 40. I still think of him as up and coming, early to mid 30s, early 30s. And I'm just like, he's 40. I'm like, oh my God, I'm old. But anyways, getting back to it. I thought that for the most part, it was really, really good. I thought the last episode was a little clunky, but their relationship, Maya Erskine and Donald Glover, you talked about real life relationships. They took their real life relationships as far as with their significant others, and they put it into that script. The writing and the conversation between the two, the chemistry between the two is what makes this work. Now, the rudimentary, okay, we escort this person or we kill this person or whatever, that's all rudimentary by the number spy stuff. But it's how they do it together or not so together through the trials and tribulations like you would have in a real marriage is the key to this really being a successful show. I do recommend it. I think that you should go out of your way to catch it. It is one of the 5 biggest debuts for an Amazon show ever, and it's definitely going to get a season 2 if that's the case. So big props to both Maya Erskine and Donald Glover for Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So Josh, I don't know if you have a chance to check it out yet. I know TJ says he's almost caught all the episodes, but not quite yet. Any chance you're checking it out, Mr. and Mrs. Smith on Amazon Primes?
I will be completely honest. I didn't even know the show existed until yesterday. So I did add it onto my watch list. So I will be checking it out because it does look cool. I was a big fan of the original movie. So I'll definitely watch it hopefully soon.
And I've also, with our last minute left, I've got I don't know, I can't believe I'm saying this, an apology to Paramount Studios. They might have actually turned me around as a Halo fan.
Oh my gosh. I wanted to ask you if you watched this. I'm glad you brought it up.
2 years ago, I called Halo, that series, one of the worst seasons of television I have ever watched. Now, mind you, the first 2, you've got a new showrunner, did a lot of different things. It's looking like it's heading towards the fall of Reach, which again is where they're going to go to it, which is fine, which is great. It's part of the lore. Yeah. They've taken a lot of the side stuff out, which actually bogged down the actual original season, and they took a lot of that out and are focusing more on the military Halo Spartan end of it, which was the actual best part of the series. They're actually focusing on that more, and that's making it a much more desirable show. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it's actually watchable. Josh, Halo is actually watchable. How about that, my friend?
I know. I watched both episodes last night, and I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, this is not what the first season was. Like, this is kind of what I had hoped this show would be, and especially like the way the Spartans were moving. Like, they definitely upped the CG budget quite a bit. I don't know how I'm feeling about the Oni guy, because I feel like there's
that standard typical bad guy,
I know, but it's just like
they got him like out of a book. That's part of the one thing that's
I know there's too much backstabbing going on in Halo right now, and I feel like that's kind of not what Halo is. Yeah. But I could be wrong. I could be.
Well, Oni has always been categorized as a detriment to the Spartans.
They've been a shadow bad guy though, like in the games and the books. They've been a shadow bad guy. They haven't been like front and center like this guy is. So I don't know. I mean, I'm curious because seeing the stuff with Halsey in the little prison room they got her stuck in. So, and what's his name? Sauron, I think was that his name? Sauron, the guy that lives in the rubble, the guy that got arrested for looking for Halsey.
Oh, so the former Spartan. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I'm glad because they gave him absolutely nothing to do in the season 1 that was pertinent or relevant, really good at all. Now they finally found something as far as putting him in, as far as maybe trying to connect the dots and putting him back in front and center alignment with the rest of the story. So yeah, that worked for me too. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah. Oh, I was just gonna say, like, the last thing I didn't see happening was the McKee coming back. Like, that was not. I'm sorry. Did you watch the second episode?
Yes, I've watched it all.
Okay. Yeah. So that was unexpected, but I don't know. I just I kept imagining, like, what's it gonna be like when the flood shows up? Like, that's gonna be really cool. But hopefully we get enough seasons to get us there. I mean, I'm really liking this one.
TJ, any thoughts about getting some Paramount Plus? I believe the code Super Bowl still works for a free month of Paramount Plus as of this recording.
Well, we watched the Super Bowl off Paramount Plus, so I've got Paramount Plus, and I did not put the second season of Halo on my radar. But you two are the second group of people that I've heard talk about it in a positive light. I mean, after that first season. I mean, I was really done when they showed Master Chief out of the armor, so I was already kind of
cable car, asteroids.
Yeah. I'm like, this is not not my Halo. Hashtag I don't want to do with it.
He still has his helmet off way too dang much. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But yeah,
that's that movie star thing. That's the one thing I don't know if you guys remember that movie Dread way back in the mid 2010s. I want to say
Sly Stallone or Carl?
No, Urban? Carl Urban. And the reason I say that is because Carl Urban never took off the helmet. It was him under the entire time, but never took off the helmet because that's not the focus.
Yeah, that's what he said. I remember in an interview. He's like, no, the movie's about Dread. It's not about
it's not about me. It's Carl Urban. So I wish that.
I
wish that everybody who plays a character like that would take that mantle. I know Carl Urban did, and I think Hugo Weaving did it before that in V for Vendetta. He played V, and he never once took off the mask, so you never knew it was Hugo Weaving except for his voice. I think when you have characters like that, it's not about, I'm getting a little soapboxy, but it's not about the actor. So when you have, not recasting T'Challa for Black Panther because of the unfortunate passing of Chadwick Boseman, it's not about the actor. It's about the role and what the role means to the rest of the world. It can't be based off just one person. Like, ultimately, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has to recast Iron Man, right? If they're gonna continue the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Iron Man was a big part of it. The same thing with Captain America. The same thing with all these other ageless superheroes, because the superheroes themselves don't age. The actors that play them do, and that's fine, but it's not about the actor, it's about the character. So I wish that more properties, more studios recognize that it's not about the actor, it's not about who's playing it, it's about what they're playing and the importance of that. Us never having seen Master Chief or John, his face in the game or in the novels, there's a reason for that, because it could be any of us. There doesn't have to be a face to the person. The whole point is we all could be under that helmet. We all could be under the mask. It shouldn't matter what the person looks like. So why focus on that at all?
Somebody should tell that to Pablo Schreiber, but yeah, I digress on that one. But it's Halo. It's actually watchable so far. Is that the best way to say it, Josh? Watchable?
I would say yes. I'm cautiously optimistic about how the rest of the season's going to go.
As am I, my friend. As am I. But we'll see if it doesn't go off the rails, because it went off the rails and then some in the first season. But
Yes,
we're giving it another chance. It is Halo. Go ahead and check it out today on Paramount Plus. As of this recording, I believe Super Bowl, the code gets you still a free month of Paramount Plus. Well, my friends, it's been a great episode talking Super Bowl ads, commercials, WWE, Halo. But any last thoughts, my friend, before we head on out? TJ, great to have you here, my friend. Man, I love these three ways, man.
Yeah, man. I miss Josh so much. This has been so much fun. It's not that, and I miss Gerald every time. Let me be very clear. I always enjoy being on, but I don't get to get on with Josh very often. So whenever he's here, I'm just like,
We got to do this more often.
Yeah, I'm with it.
I would go to the theaters to watch this.
I would buy popcorn. I would even buy popcorn to watch this. And I don't buy popcorn. I don't do that because then I get any more of my money. But I would buy popcorn for this.
We're selling this right now, I think.
We are.
Yeah,
we are
indeed.
For
sure. Pop Culture Cosmos.
Well, you'll be saying that in a sec, because again, live long and prosper. Discovery, let's fly. Yes, Paramount. Remember, I'll tell you what, I reached the top of Paramount Mountain, and let me tell you, it was fun indeed.
Gerald, you are like Mary Poppins. Anytime I see you reaching for a prop, I have no idea what's going to come up here.
Okay. We talked about Halo. Let me go ahead and show you if I can get this out correctly, if I can, because we talked about how Halo was. It's actually watchable. Maybe I'll start watching it with these Halo sunglasses I got. How about that?
Man, look at that. I'm thinking more Brett the Hitman Hart, but okay, I'll give you that.
Well, now I got to give it to somebody. There you go.
You look like you're going to a shooting range or something with the headset on.
Hart!
Yeah.
Watch out, clear!
There you go.
So for Josh the Great Peterson at happyhoardercollectibles.com and TJ Johnson, it's Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Truly appreciate it. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. Of course. What is it again, TJ?
It's the Pop Culture Cosmos.
We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great